Let's get into the news review segment. A number of topics to discuss this morning. We'll do our best to bring you perspectives and, of course, afford you the opportunity to share your thoughts with us. You can do so via the WhatsApp number. And then, of course, you can join us on YouTube where we are streaming live. We're on Facebook. We're very interactive on X. We're engaging on Instagram. And you can enjoy some video content from ChannelOne TV on TikTok as well. A very good morning to Wanda Madilo. He's a member of the NDC's National Communications team. And good morning to Dr. Palgrave Boachidankwa, a member of the NPP's communications team as well. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Good morning.
Great stuff. It's a busy day today, actually. The acting Chief Justice, Paul Bafuboni, will appear before the Appointments Committee of Parliament. Despite a move to halt same by the minority in Parliament, the Speaker dismissed the motion. And so he's expected to appear before the committee. The scheduled or advertised time is 11 a.m. We're hoping to start on time and bring our viewers proceedings from there. But let me take your thoughts even ahead of that scheduled vetting. The minority seems to be against it. The argument I have heard is that the cases filed by the removed CJ, Gertrude Tokonu, will have an impact on the legitimacy of the acting CJ if he is approved and sworn in as a CJ. Palgrave, what do you make of this?
A very good morning to you, Nana, and a very good morning to Wanda.
I'm not sure why you're smiling.
To your viewing public. I think that I'm increasingly getting very troubled and worried for this country with how we go about our issues. Of course, the former CJ was removed from office in an unorthodox way. And unorthodox because we have a democracy that must ensure that it's upholding the rule of law. And no one that is heavily colored politically by an orientation of a political party. And I'm minded to state that this Fourth Republic is extremely still young, still fragile. And so when you have an opportunity to lead government as the president, you should be guided about certain decisions that you take, which with hindsight can become historical perspectives for things to happen. And I think that one of the things that the speaker stated in moving away from the decision of the minority was that he doesn't want history to remind us of interferences, really, of parliamentary involvement in judicial work. But clearly, the lines have been drawn. It would be good to see the vetting of the day. I'm very sure that he would distinguish himself. But we want to continually remind the state government that we should allow each of the arms of government to be independent, to exercise their mandate as is given to them by the 1992 Constitution without any interference whatsoever by a certain government. And I think that if we continue to do that, we would build a lot more trust, we would build a lot more confidence, we would have people repose all the wills that they have in all of these systems of governance.
The interference here, I'm not getting. You would agree that we need a substantive CJ. You have sat here and called for a substantive defense minister. So you would agree that as a country, we need a substantive Chief Justice, not an acting Chief Justice.
Absolutely, and I did say that in my preliminary comments that yes, it's important that we have a Chief Justice. I mean, I don't run away from that at all.
Right.
But my caution really is the manner in which the former CJ was unorthodoxly removed from government or from her role as serving as the Chief Justice,
head of the judiciary,
which gives a bit of a dent, especially in the fragility of our democracy. And we must be minded by it that less than 40 years ago, Ghana was not in the Fourth Republic. We were under some status, which I don't want to remind Ghanaians of, but those who are aware of what I'm talking about. And so coming on the backbench of the history of where we have come from and the fragility of our democracy, which is still burdened and extremely very young, and with the constitutional committees that has been set in place for the review of some statuses in the committee, it would have been good for the sitting president to have been guided by such historical antecedents and paced his decision with the removal of the former CJ. But as it is, I mean, I'm sure that the acting CJ would pass his vetting. I'm certain that he would be sworn in. But it is important that in the discharge of his duties, he's guided about the independence of the judiciary and ensure that whatever cases that comes to the court, it is the judge that is on trial. When cases come to court, it's the judge that is on trial, because you must prove the law, and we must be guided by the law and not be guided by any intrinsic motivation whatsoever.
Wonder, I kind of like Palgrave's choice of words. This is unorthodox, because I was going to ask him if anything untoward was done with respect to the Constitution, but he chose unorthodox, so let's stay away from there.
Well, I think these are legal matters, and so I will be a bit restrained, but I will state the position of the law in this regard. The removal of the Chief Justice, we are all aware the processes that brought that to bear, and so far we haven't had anybody question the legitimacy of the removal or the illegality that has been committed. We've had emotional outbursts, we've had people having divergent views and all that, but that is not the law. And if you want to go by our own dictum, the law remains the law. And if you take inspiration from Giela and Kassman in 1973, he established 3 grounds on which you can challenge a decision of this nature. One, he talks about you must show a prima facie evidence that is incontrovertible, that what has been done is illegal, is wrong, and that an injustice has been committed. 2, you must also show that there will be irreparable harm caused to the claimant, or in this case the Chief Justice, if the process goes ahead. And finally, we have to look at what they call the balance of convenience. Now, in all of these 3 instances that I've mentioned, the first one, which I said prima facie, she has to establish that what was done was illegal, is wrong, illegitimate, and then cannot be a phantom. Number 2, irreparable harm. You must also prove to the court that if the processes go ahead and we're able to find an appointment, a new person appointed, it causes you harm. And the harm must also be put on what we call the balance of convenience.
Right.
So what does the state lose if we don't have a Chief Justice? A whole state, sovereign state for that matter, doesn't have a Chief Justice. As against one man who will be losing your position. That will be the position of the judge.
Right.
Because it's going to be, what does the state lose? What do you lose? And if what you are losing, can there be a compensation for it? If the process even eventually turns out that it was wrong, we can compensate you. You lose nothing. Right. But for a whole state, for a sovereign nation like Ghana, as a country not to have a Chief Justice is more a difficult matter than your personal, position. Then the last one is what we call the balance of trade. So the balance of trade goes hand in hand with the irreparable harm that you want to. And if you look at, on the strength of the case, you'll find out that it doesn't wash. That's why it has been thrown out by the court before they are going ahead with the other, because they tried to put an injunction which didn't work out. And Fenyomakin is just appealing to the emotions of parliamentarians and all that. We have been in this country that cases have been in court while Parliament went ahead to do their job, because separation of powers tells us that the two of them are not coterminous. They don't, they may correlate, they may understand each other, they may work.
But they are independent arms.
They are independent arms of government. And the Parliament of Ghana is under no restriction by no parliament, no court of this country not to proceed with the vetting. And I think it's a call in the right direction. If things went wrong later, we discover that she was removed, wrongly by the same Supreme Court, there is a way to compensate her or amend some of these issues, and life will go on, as it were. But to leave that position vacant, and how long is the case going to be in court? So if we're in court for 5 years, Ghana doesn't have a Chief Justice because of one woman, one man out there. It cannot be. And so I think that we are proceeding very cautiously. I will be looking forward to see this vetting. I know the minority may stage a walkout or may not.
I was going to ask about that. Coming events, they say cast their shadows.
They cast their shadows.
And if you see how the posturing so far,
posturing tells that they don't
expect them to be there.
Part, but I don't have a problem with that. I wish they were part, or they would be part, because this Chief Justice is already 68 years old. He's likely to be in office for only 2 years, and a new one will be appointed. What do you stand to lose? What do you stand to gain as a party that has just left power a few months ago?
A long time.
No, you've just left power 2 months ago.
No, I'm referring to the CJ and the number of years he would have if he's indeed approved.
Okay,
before he leaves.
No, I agree. It is not even how long. Justice Georgina Wood was on the seat for how many years? We are talking about how many, 15 or so years, 11 or 12 years or what? I don't remember what it is. But we all stayed with that. We were in opposition with her. We came back to power with her, and even throughout the tenure, our tenure, she was still at post. So it cannot be that you want somebody that you are comfortable with and all that. It cannot be always our way. Political parties must learn the skill and the wisdom of working with people, even if they don't disagree. Listen, I tell people that this business about unity in Africa is just a waste of everybody's time. I always say that we don't need to be united, do anything. We only need unity of purpose. For instance, even in the Bible, when they were building the Tower of Babel, they didn't say they were united. The Bible said this thing the people have imagined to do. That means that they came together to do it, not because of unity, but they had a purpose, they had a goal. So unity without purpose is of no relevance in our daily doings and leadings and all that. And so I think that the NPP should be more concentrated on the issues of governance in this country, on the issues of law, on the issues of democracy, on the issues of bread and butter and all that. Then Ghanaians can begin to see them again as one political party that is serious enough, that is ready and prepared, perhaps waiting in opposition to one day ever come to the reins of power. But the antagonism, the late Dr. Amanibu Ama used to have a very constant refrain, and he said that it's organize and don't antagonize. Organize, don't agonize. So I take inspiration from that, and I think the MVP should take inspiration from that and learn to work with people. It cannot be the case that everybody must pander to your whims and caprices at all times. It cannot be the case that everybody must be at your beck and call. It cannot be the case that everybody must be, and right even in the MPP, sometimes you can see that they hate dissenting opinion. In the days past, when you had the likes of Afoko, Sami Krab, you like the likes of Japan and all that, you see how they were hounded out of office. And almost everybody who speaks their mind in the MPP tends to be hounded for one reason or the other. Look at even their own, parliamentary elections at the moment, presidential primaries and all what is happening now. You speak your mind and they hound you out. You speak your mind now. You don't see that in the NDC. At least we tolerate, at least to a large extent, we are more tolerant a party than they are. Journalists even have to flee out of this country because of the MPP's understanding of politics and how it should be. It cannot be the case that once you are in power, everybody must pander to your whims and caprices. No doubt, almost all the state institutions have collapsed. I mean, many of them have been losing revenue, even to the tune of Bank of Ghana, which is one of the most strategic, one of the most formidable institutions in this country. We're even losing revenues and all that because everybody was just, pandering to the whims and caprices of one man out there who thinks that everything must go along their line. The economy also crashed because of one man. So they need to learn to accommodate dissenting opinion. They need to learn to work with people who don't necessarily agree with them. And they also need the wisdom and the understanding that governance is not all about how much I can take, but rather about how much we all bring to the table.
But if they believe in their position, should they necessarily...
I do not have a problem believing in your position, but don't make everybody look as though whatever was done was so wrong. Until the court makes a determination, what is your hurry? Why are you bundling all of us into the state that we should understand that this is how it should be? Because you have an opinion. Somebody also has an opinion. Would you accept that we all have opinion and then move on? Then we wait for the court system to bring out the fact. Now, all of a sudden, the MPP is against even the EC. Have you observed that? Their commentary, the public commentary lately has to do with that the EC is bogus, the EC is this. Few months ago, this is the party that was praising the same electoral commission. So it is becoming a practice where you see MPP people, once they are not in power, once they are not in charge, once they can't pull the strings, once they can't control, they think that everything is wrong. Then you ask a question. Does it mean that all along when you are in power, all these institutions were pandering to your whims and caprices? This is a question we've been asking when they were in power. We didn't get answers, but now we're beginning to get a glimpse of what was happening. That means that all along everybody was working according to your dictates. And now that you don't get that leverage again, then they are all bad. It cannot be. It cannot be.
Is that the case?
Well, I don't think that is the case. I think that we allowed the rule of law to work. I think that we were very transparent and open government for the Ghanaian people. I think that we were very collaborative and more cooperative with the Ghanaian people. And the legacies of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is clear and very evidential for the Ghanaian people to see.
No, I like your view. I do appreciate it.
Very well. Let's move into the issue of illegal mining and, of course, the new trend that we are beginning to see. In times past, you would hear of community resistance, and community resistance in this particular instance is helping in the fight against. This time around, there's, if you like, community attacks on people mandated to fight illegal mining. There's the case of the Shidiem one, and then the most recent one will have to do with the EPA, and of course, if you like, a media team involving one of ours who was involved in an accident. But the president is warning communities not to attack officials. Palgrave, I don't know what you make of this. Have we lost it?
You know, Tufo, I don't think the president of Ghana understands what is going on in this country.
Oh, how so?
Yes,
He's the commander-in-chief.
No, I don't think he understands what is going on in this country. I have on countless occasions sat on this platform and other platforms and told you how troubled I am about the breakdown of security in this country. The breakdown of rural security, the breakdown of urban security. I have recounted many times how from the 15th of January till date, there's been minor incidents in rural Ghana and urban Ghana. I've recounted it so many times that I've stated how scared I am. I've stated how sleepless nights I have. I've stated how we are sitting on a time bomb in this country. I would come to illegal mining, but you are aware of what happened in Bono East over this weekend. A chief was killed, and the report says that he was shot 43 times, which means that it's a different kind of ammo that the assailants had. It's almost like a military type ammo that they had. It's not a gun that they used one bullet and shot 43 times. No. It's a multiple arsenals that releases the bullets speedily.
You're looking at an automatic?
Automatic, of course.
Of
course, it's an automatic arm.
Are you doing the forensics here?
No, you see, I'm analyzing by my observation, and I'm getting increasingly troubled. Because you see, President John Dramani Mahama, I really wish him the best. But I don't think that he is taking our security very seriously. At the backbench of the Akwamuhene of Tanoso, Nana Owusu Koko, may he rest in peace. On his farmland, assailants have assaulted him. Obviously, could be chieftaincy issues, could be land disputes, could be mining issues. But the purposeful intent of ensuring that he's dead should send all of us home thinking. When the president delivers speeches, it doesn't bring back the life of people who have died. If our chiefs cannot be safe, if our uniformed persons, AICO2 Rafiq Mohammed, was coming from work and he was also murdered, his colleague had his jaw. I don't know whether he's fully recovered now. So if uniformed people are not safe and civilians are not safe, then who is safe? When the president calls the IGP to look into the issue, it will not bring the Akwamuhene back to life. we have consistently told the President of the Republic of Ghana, Mr. President, today's vetting is good. It would have been good if he had added a substantive Minister for Defense to the vetting list for the week.
But these are matters for the interior.
I'm not too sure if these are only matters for the interior, because these are matters that stretches its hands to other security sectors, including the national security, including the Ghana Armed Forces, including the Small Arms Commission. And so the state in which we find ourselves, illegal mining, we have consistently pleaded with the president to call for a state of emergency. TUC has pleaded with the president to call for a state of emergency. Kwenyako water plant is being closed down. Teshin Nungwa has been closed down because of maintenance.
Kwenyako has begun work now.
Operations,
yeah.
But not full blast.
Yeah.
Not full blast. And so let's put that in context. We are at a very low place in our country. And I don't know how the president sleeps. Because as a civilian and a citizen of this country, I can't sleep. Because I keep hearing of issues, one too many to ignore. And I don't know what the president is doing with these issues. Nana, it is so alarming, it is so dangerous, and you can imagine the recurrence incidences that will happen as a result of this incident. Every single week we record an incident in this country. I don't think we are safe. Wanda, I don't know what you will tell your president, but I want to appeal to you to tell him that Ghanaians are not safe. Rural security has broken down. Urban security has broken down. Illegal mining is at its height. We've spoken about it several times. There's been communique about it. And the president still is reluctant to call for a targeted state of emergency. It's important for us to look at our regions. Look, Bono East is not a dangerous environment to be in. You wake up as a chief, you go to your farmland to go and work and till the land to come back home so you can serve your people. This chief was sworn in not too long ago. I've been digging my research. So why would assailants go and attack him in the manner in which they have? And, you know, we cannot be sitting on national TV and not professing solutions. I want to profess some solutions to the President of the Republic of Ghana. Please, Mr. President, you are the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. You have every right to ensure that you keep the Ghanaians people safe. We are not safe in this country. I don't know what will happen tomorrow. I don't know what will happen over the weekend. Imagine that the uniformed people want to start protecting themselves against civilians. What will happen? So let's handle these issues with the sensitivity that it deserves. I mean, I don't know what the president is doing. I'm troubled, increasingly, and I'm almost lost for words.
Well, Wonder, there's this growing a military team that is working at the behest of the president to stop illegal mining. And you can tie in the number of attacks on several police stations that we've seen in recent times.
Incidents of security. But Nana, when you go for NSPPD, you should be praying for Ghana as well.
I pray for Ghana.
I see your, I see your NSPPD.
Yes. We did pray in the show.
You know, I am particularly not excited, you know, hearing all these issues of security. But some of them can be, you can hazard a guess and know why some of them are happening. Growing up as a chief, you cannot walk alone. In my village, I mean, I'm an Anglo, and for that matter, a Some. And you'll never see any chief, whether small, big, fat, slim, whatever, walking alone. Two things you will observe. It's either he's working with a team of people, or he's working with his dog, or with a staff. Now, those were to signify those days that you are not alone, and therefore you cannot be abducted. But these days we see chiefs, you know, that are mingling with everybody, and as though there are no issues at stake. Of course, it's good for our cohesion and all that, but I think that we need to revert to the point where we see our chiefs not only as traditional rulers, but also as people who play a critical role in the survival and livelihoods of people within their jurisdiction. And so you look at the issues, and you can, I don't want to hazard a guess, and I'm not going to say that on air, because the sensitivity of this matter is very, very. So you can see the undercurrent. Some of them are chieftaincy issues on the side. Some of them are land disputes on the side. Then the Galamsey issue coming out. The chiefs that have become bold and saying no Galamsey in my area are beginning to suffer some attacks and all that. And then the police stations that you find to these are also in the, albeit Galamsey environment, as equally chieftaincy environment. And we have seen this, going forward. I think that government, one of the things the government should do is to go very, very, very blunt on some of these incursions, because the last you want to have is a state of emergency, or a state where the country is on these tenterhooks, or people are no longer safe because of a few greedy, bastard or idiots that are in society and wanting to have their way. And so I want government to be very, 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 blunt when it comes to security of the state in those areas where the attacks are coming from. I've heard people say that, their community is their headmaster, former headmaster. I understand he was headmaster in the Sojamine secondary school at the time and all that. So a lot of people have been pouring in some tributes and all that. We understand he was murdered in the farm or something. I don't know if it's the same story, but that's what I picked up and all over the place. I sympathize with the family, and I know the President of the Republic will sympathize with them. I'm sure he will even make a dash there if he's in town to see what is happening and assess the situation. But we need to move forward as a country. You move forward in peace, move forward in one piece, not in the multitude of a few greedy ones that just want to take advantage of what is happening. I mean, chieftaincy, apart from some of the loud ones, when I say loud, I mean in terms of size, that give some benefit to the ruler, I don't see many of them. Many of them don't have that kind of leisure or that kind of financial backing.
A great number of them are not even known.
Yes, some don't even have cars, excuse me. Some still walk, some still take torture and all that. And so what is there to admire? What is there to, not to admire, but what is there to envy? That's the right word, to envy about some of these positions. But you see people doing it. So the hatred may be because of chieftaincy, it may be because of land dispute, maybe because you have, like you rule in a matter and one party is not happy and they want to take revenge and all that. It happens, even with our judges and all that. And so we need to be preemptive. We need to circle around some of these traditional rulers, the security apparatus of the country. That's why even the Local Governance Act, we deliberately put chiefs as part of the system, so that their security can be guaranteed and all that. And then we need to also find out at what level are we gazetting these our chiefs. Most of the chiefs that have been gazetted are not properly installed. Some of them have challenges with even their seat and all that. Right in my own constituency, there are issues about chieftaincy. There are issues all over the place and all that. And we think that we need, one of the points to have peace in this country is through the chiefs, because they play a critical role. I've heard Otunfo saying just over the weekend or last week that you should refer land dispute to me. They said land dispute and something else to me, and I thought that was laudable, because some of the land disputes that we have in this country have been in court for 30 years, 40 years. Even the applicant themselves, finally have passed on, and some of those cases are still pending and all that. So there are cases we can resolve by arbitration, by mediation and all that, using our traditional authorities and all that. And then also they themselves also must be avoiding politics, because some of the issues that we hear sometimes is because, my chief is MPP, my chief is NDC, and so those on the other side wants to pay back and all that and all that. Some even are bold to talk to them in the face, in the open, on platforms, insult themselves and all that. I think that the revered institution of chieftaincy that we came to meet as young people must continue to play a very big role in our development agenda. Many years ago in my village, in many parts of the Volta that I know, chiefs were the development agents. We didn't even have district chief executives and all that we have today to become development agents. We used to have assemblymen, the chiefs and the headmasters masters. These were the people who were in fronting and leading development in our country. We need to get back to the basics and not make everything politics and not make everything.
Let's look at the issue of the illegal mining attacks.
The issue of illegal mining, like I said, some of them are presumptive. We are able to tell that this is what the reprisal attacks we are likely to get. The issue, the one about the NIMOS, which one MP has been taken to court. I just pray that some of these things are not true. I mean, he's giving his version of the story.
Indeed,
it's not even his constituency. He was attending a funeral. All this will be proven in court that truly he was attending a funeral, and what funeral it was, what time it was, whether he actually got a call from his colleague to intervene in the matter and all that. But then I have also said that, and I have seen this a lot of times, when people are in trouble, for instance, in the police station, and they call me, and I show up at the police station, you see that there's a certain, immediately, the one who has been arrested, the accused immediately start misbehaving because they feel, oh, help us arrived. And you know, I've listened to MP for Ketunov, Edwin Agbana. He gave a very sweet narrative. I'm saying that, even though I have a personal experience with it, but I'm saying it because he's a colleague MP that, you know, is involved. And he said that there are times that in his constituency, for instance, an MP is passing by or going through your constituency, and then you are called, oh, bro, I'm in your constituency. Oh, wow. Oh, there's a maternal funeral. Oh, that's my cousin's funeral. Oh, I see. Oh, wow. Exactly. Then, step in for me. I'm not even aware of the funeral. So he goes there, he makes a donation on your behalf. Meanwhile, it's your own constituency, but you're not in town. Or he's in the constituency, a colleague of yours in the constituency, and there's some chaos. And then you place a call and say, bro, I beg, please help me. There's one of my guys have been arrested. Can you please step in for me? And I'm saying that because these are political leaders, the people owe them more allegiance than to even the statutory authorities like the police, the military, and all that. So when they have crisis, the person they call is their political leaders. And I think that it is more of a decision that he didn't take a bigger picture. Look at the bigger picture. He just showed up, and it turned out that when he showed up, the people became more aggravated and decided to misbehave. I pray, and I want to believe that he won't openly. I mean, nobody would think that an MP will openly want to go and confront the NIMOS team that is fully armed. I mean, that would be the biggest error of your life, to go confronting a very armed militia that is on an assignment. Number two, we are also told that the NIMOS team did not plan an operation in that place. No. In other words, they were going somewhere, went to finish, and they were coming back, and they got an alert that this. And this is one of the things that we should be mindful of. You are an operational team. You work on tip-offs, but before you get to a scene to say that you are going to combat something, be prepared. I don't know if you get my point. Be prepared for what you're going to do. You don't do operations because you got a tip-off, and that tip-off did not give you time to plan on how to execute your plans. For instance, if I was in that team and I was an operational member, one of the things you would have done is that once you have gotten the tip-off, you can retreat, leave it.
Indeed.
You will get them again.
Because what if it was a setup?
Yes, what if it was a setup? What if it was a ploy? It would have been more disastrous. So while we condemn the activities of people who got themselves involved there, we should be condemning the operational team, that particular one, not the whole NIMOS, the particular team that went on that operation should have been a bit more, what do I say, circumspect, tactical, yes, circumspect, tactical, and a bit more retrospective in what they are going to do. You don't just run into a team of people who are already armed. You know, I mean, by their operation, they know. The other Galamsey sides are armed. And then you want to do an operation. You will get a certain kind of revulsion from the people. And that's what happened. And for me, I think that the NIMOS team, even though they are doing a good job on this particular issue, when even they saw that Chale is going to be confrontational, they could have just walked off from the scene and come back at another time. When the people, they are prepared, when they are ready, they would have even what they call that word. There's a security word that lay ambush and all that. You know, because this was because these people, we are told that we're doing this right on the main road, or by the side of the main road. So how difficult is that an exercise? But you went there, the noise, and it's not everybody who gathered there are from the Galamsey side. Even the community people joined them. And you can see that where the car was even parked was not even in the OP for you to ever exit. I thank God that they exited. I thank God that there were no major casualties, as we say. I also thank God that the lives of our people are preserved. However, I mean, this is a guide to all of them that let's be conscious in the way we approach some of this. Know that we don't always record some of these incidents and make it look as though Ghanaians are that violent and all that. I don't think we are that violent. what I do know is that there are influences of foreigners in this our Galamsey space. We have Nigerians, we have Cote d'Ivoire. In fact, the last arrest, they arrested about 33 Nigerians.
Yeah.
34 Nigerians, only about 4 or 5 Ghanaians amongst them. So you can see the influence of other nationals in our space. That's why I also believe that the national Ghana Immigration Service must also be up and doing some of these things, because there are people in this country that are staying here illegally, people in this country that have come to illegal means into this country, people in this country who are misbehaving and doing all kinds of things even without the right permit to be in this country.
Well, on that same score, I think we must also commend them for, on hindsight, being professional, because when they felt the threats of the masses there, if one person had let go of a shot, we would have been counting dead bodies.
That is why you see, even letting go of a shot, people think that it's always when you put a trigger. What about if any of those people had collected their weapon?
True. What if they had been overpowered?
Yeah, so it's not only their success, it's also the success that God has been very merciful to them, to all of us. You know, to all of us, especially when you know that this whole Galamsey, death started with Major Mahama, the late Major Mahama. It was also Galamsey. At that time, we didn't know the gravity of Galamsey, but today we know. And so you want to go and do an operation, be careful, be ready, be prepared. That is why when I even saw, one of our own, a party executive who was leading the charge in the forest, I wasn't very comfortable. I wish I could place a call to her. I sent a message anyway that, hey, this is not your field. This is not your area. Indeed. This is a military operation. This is
leave the professionals to do their work.
The professionals. Be in the regulatory mode in your framework. And leave the operational direction and leave the operational for those who are tactful and ready to do it. I remember many years ago when what was the name of this former director of operations CID? It's a lady, Rose Biotinga.
Oh, okay.
I remember many years ago when she was in charge of operations. One of the things they were doing was, call it shoot and kill. When the armed robbery was very high at the time, and they interviewed her and asked her, why do you always shoot and kill? These amnesty people were talking about, what was the name, human rights and all that. And he said, well, it's not a problem. We didn't intend to shoot and kill. If you want to protect human life, come and let's go for the operations. When they are shooting at you, tell them that it's human rights and stay there. So indeed, in the bosom of every security operative that is armed, they have it at the back of their mind that under attack they must defend themselves. And so yes, we can commend them, but I'm saying that what if they were overpowered? What if those guns they were holding, those ammunitions they were holding had gone into the wrong hands? Then the crisis would have escalated.
Right.
And so we need to be very tactful. We need to program when, how, and the details of those operations. Look at the way America does operations. When they were picking Osama bin Laden, it was neat. When they were even going recently, it was neat because they plan, they dot every I and cross every T before the operation is done. I think that's what we should be doing, not just the rampaging or the way we go on the rampage and trying to clear people from it. No, it must be tactful.
Right. Paul Grave, I'm judging for what Wanda has just said. Clearly, we failed on being tactful. A bit worried about intel. Are we failing to pick intel on some of these things as well? Because if then, we are in grave danger.
Nana, I'm glad that as a journalist, you are beginning to gather some intelligence from the security environment. And I can tell that it's because of the consistency with which I come here. The influence is rubbing on you.
You take your credit.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. But clearly you can see that something is not working well, which is why, I want the president of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, to be bold enough to make some critical decisions. And I'm sure, I don't want to bring Wanda in, but I'm sure that when Wanda says to analyze my conversation, he would agree with me. Nana, the national security is there to do 8 thematic things. To gather intelligence, to assess threats, to ensure that the economy is stable, to ensure that they protect lives, to ensure that the ecology is safe, and to continually give situational reports to the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. So if it so appears that on the face value of what we see, evidentially, there is not a tactical intelligence gathering, then it's a big issue. Because, of course, all our security agencies have intelligence officers. The Ghana Armed Forces has military intelligence, the police has their CID, the Ghana Immigration Service, even the prisons, the Ghana National Fire Service, all of them. Customs, all of them have their intelligence officers. But something is eluding the process, which means that they receive the intelligence, but along the transfer of those intelligence, they absorb certain issues. And so whoever that must receive the vivid description of what is happening on the ground is not receiving it. That's why these issues are happening.
They're not getting full complement of the report.
They're not getting full complement because the National Investigative Bureau has intelligence officers in all districts in this country. The National Security has operatives all across the country. All the security arms have representatives all across. There is a base of the Ghana Armed Forces in every sub. There's a southern base, there's a northern base, there's a middle base, all of that. And so there's so many military people, there are so many security officers that live within the community that intelligence gathering must not elude them. It means something is not going on well. And that's where my concern is. And that's why you are also concerned. So beyond the speeches, we must be tactical enough. Beyond the speeches, we must ensure that beyond every uniformed person is a family. Okay? When WO1 William Mensah assaulted the lady and the gentleman in Burma camp in the pharmacy, which should be the place that you should be feel safe most, then I was like, no, something is not right. With the level of boldness that he had in the Ghana Armed Forces, in Burma camp, I was shocked. Look at our Ghana immigration officers. Look at the risk at which they perform their duties at the border towns. Look at the fact that we are surrounded by countries that have been toppled by military juntas. Look at what is happening in Plateau State, Jos, in Nigeria. Look at the issues that are ongoing. So there is a lot that is happening within the architecture that if you're a security analyst, if you're a security couple, you cannot sleep. You must be up to make sure that you are keeping lives and livelihood safe. And we don't seem to see that. It appears as though business is going on as usual. But business cannot go on as usual because every single day we report clashes. Each day we are reporting clashes. In and out, there are clashes that are coming. So the leaders must work. I don't know what else we can do to make sure that this issue is resolved. The civilians are emboldened, which means there is not that fear that ordinarily you would have when you see a uniformed person. It's not there anymore. So civilians are emboldened. They are having arms, ammunitions that are licensed. Some are not licensed. Why can't we retrieve these? Why are people having arms in their homes? Why are we having foreigners become more empowered in our democratic country? Why are foreigners within the sub-region more empowered than us? Why do we have foreigners from Asian countries in Ghana perpetuating illegal acts? And we are observing that. We must be able to make sure that we nip this in the bud because it's one too many.
Right. Wonder, should we treat this as isolated events or there's a pattern, there's a trend that can be established and they will deal with it as
in security, you don't treat anything as an isolated event until you have finished the process. As long as it appears, you must be looking for trends and in your trend analysis, you would discover that this is isolated and this is connected. Most probably, it's always connected. There's always a repercussion or a reprisal based on something that was done before. Sometimes it can even be years ago. For instance, the Yana's case, we were told it's something that happened years ago. And then one day it surfaced. It was always an undercurrent until it surfaced and all that. So in security, you don't see that this is, and especially when you see the trend around the country, you will see that the people who are involved in that space, I mean the dissidents who are involved in that space, the hoodlums, have a plan, and the plan is that let's fight back, or let's resist this, or let's bribe through our way, or let's barricade our way. I've seen one where they use some sticks to cross the road, and we're shouting with machetes, and if you like, cross the road and let's see. I just thank God for the composure of our uniform men in Ghana, particularly. You won't try this in Togo. They will spray all of you. They will spray all of you. But we thank God that at least our people are more restrained when it comes to these issues. But that should not be a weakness. Nobody should take them for weakness, because it's the same thing that happened, and we're questioning, oh, Major Mahama had a gun. Why didn't he fire the gun? Major Mahama, why didn't he fire the gun? What do you think will happen if these people decide to fire their guns? We would have a lot more disaster on our hand, and many other people who are even innocent would have been involved, because the whole community gathered around the place, and so you may not even get the real, culprit. There's an underlying factor why this Galamsey fight needs to be more holistic, as we are seeing today. The president has been very committed to this matter. Again, I see that it's a bread and butter matter. Bread and butter issues. When you see the numbers of people who are churning out from this, our so called, not so called as in derogatory, but as we call it, free SHS, who are not making their way to the universities or to the upper, schools, you will know that we have a lot of challenge on our hand. And that's why I want us to deploy the German understanding of industry, where they invest so much in technical education. The polytechnic system, when it was changed, I'm not too excited about it. I feel that we need to still instill the hands-on, the artisanal training in our people. The people who we call mechanics, the people who we call auto mechanics, we call welders, we call electricians, we call the local palace builders, we call civil engineering and all that. We need to break that away from the tertiary environment to, say, a polytechnic environment, so that people can find something doing. Today we are beginning to export labor outside of the country. And we're exporting this labor, largely the people we're exporting are not critical labor that we need in this country. I wish that we had more engineers in this country. I wish that we had more lawyers in this country. I wish that we had more medical.
You want more lawyers?
Yeah, more lawyers in this country. No, more lawyers in this country.
But there's plenty lawyers we are graduating every year.
How many? How many is on the roll of lawyers? How many?
We have so many lawyers. Well, they finish school, they are called to the bar almost every year.
We actually do not.
We don't have.
Yes, the data shows that we do not.
We only have about 8,000 lawyers or so across the country.
We don't have a lot.
In good standing, anyway.
Yes,
so we don't have enough. But you see, when you have enough lawyers, one of the things it does is that people become aware of the law. What is wrong, what is not wrong. If you have a lawyer, everybody has a lawyer in his family. Even when you're going wayward, they would have advised you. So there's a certain calmness. That's why we need to open the doors. That's why we need more engineers, people who can do their own stuff, and all that. Many times when I'm working, and I'm into construction, when I'm working, we need critical labor we can find. You want an electrician and you have to make several calls. A good one, of course, because some of them are just roadside, electricians. Some of them are just roadside plumbers.
That's what we want plumbers in foreigners.
In commercial quantity we don't get. And all that. Sometimes you need only painters and you don't even get them. And so there is the need for us as a country to begin to focus in these areas and all that. Technical and vocational education, we need attention to be paid to that. And then you can have people going to very productive areas. Look at the people in the Galamsey areas. Majority of them don't have any training. Apart from GHS. Some of them, lucky they have gone to GHS. Apart from GHS, they don't have any other skill. So we are shipping them out of those environments. We are shipping them out of those Galamsey areas. But we need to start finding them livelihoods.
True.
Otherwise, you are going to increase armed robbery. You are going to increase violent crimes. And you are going to increase irresponsibility, where you have a lot of irresponsible fathers, in the system. People are giving birth without even thinking of how they want to take care of the children and all that. And we don't want to see this on our hand. Don't forget, Togo, Benin, Nigeria are not any better. And so, if they also decide to get into your country with your own,
the connivance of your own,
then you have a problem. And I think that we need to do this. And we also need to do this at an African level, African stage, like what the AFTA is seeking to do. We need to have a regional position on job creation. When I looked at the thematic areas, the areas that the ECOWAS was focusing on for the common currency.
Yeah.
They were looking at inflation, they were looking at balance of trade, they were looking at this. I asked myself, how does the African think? How do we think? These are superficial issues. We don't have a regional body that is championing job creation in our region. Everybody is talking about macroeconomic indicators, which is done by the politicians. What is the job of a young man who, is just like from my village, you are a fisherman, you only do fishing or you do any other menial job? Which role do I play within the economic space? And that's where we should be getting to. We need a regional body that is championing job creation, that is marking the register of job creation in the South region, so that our politicians can be held responsible for that matter. But I want to congratulate John Mahama. He's been doing so fantastic, so well, so good. As of today, inflation is below 8%.
True.
You are aware.
Lowest since 2021.
Yes,
June
single digits. Even the IMF did not predict that we were going to 7%. Their prediction was 9 point something. 11.5, now 9. We have gone below that now. So a lot of things are happening. The dollar is being stable now. I like that. I'm happy for that. It's not too good for me, for my business, but I like it because the generality of Ghanaians will benefit from that. I also see a lot of prospects with the way our debt situation has been managed. That is never comfortable when you mention economic figures, our debt situation and all that. But we are getting out of the IMF somewhere next year.
Yeah.
Somewhere next year, we're out of the IMF.
So it looks good.
I'm not saying it looks good, but I'm saying that it will be good.
Right.
It will be good.
Yeah,
so
because
more people can be employed.
The looking good will always come with the question about feeling good.
No, it will be good. For instance,
inflation is dropping. Is it reflecting in the prices on the market?
Oh, you see, even though inflation is dropping, we have just announced 9%, proposed a 9% salary increment for public sector workers. Is that not good? Inflation is dropping. But we are increasing salaries. I mean, that's 9% for 100,000 is 9,000. No, because inflation was 54%. So you can't expect that. Ours is dropping to single digit. And we are giving you more money.
It gave cost of living allowance.
Things were difficult at the time. So I want to congratulate our government for doing so well. But this is not the end of the road. We have a 4-year mandate.
Yeah.
God willing, we'll have another one, and another one, and another one. And MPP will be in opposition for a long time. But
are you annihilating the party?
Oh no, they know that they are out of Ghana's politics. There's a new party, UP. You know. It's called UP. It's the root of the MPP. Is the embodiment of
that's why the initial one was formed on Unity. This is a breakaway UP.
You know. I see.
You see, what happens when you are quickly going into opposition is when you have confidence that the Ghanaian people will renew your mandate. Yes.
So that's what happened to you.
But that's nothing wrong to be hopeful.
You see,
NSPPD member.
That's what Wanda is doing. Because you see, and that's the danger of democracy. The danger of democracy is to think that the Ghanaian people would always renew your mandate because it's just an election.
No, but he says
I didn't say that.
The Ghanaian people are different.
So if you are doing well, why should they change you?
No, they will change you because there are certain areas that you might not be doing well. Because it's a value chain of the economy, or it's a value chain of a country. You understand? And if another government is coming with an alternative that they feel can benefit them, they will try that government. Okay. But I'll go back to security. Because, when Wanda was talking, he mentioned that you cannot isolate some of these cases. And he's right. Because when I look at my data that I have from the 15th of January, the one I've been talking about, it started with chieftaincy dispute in Oti, Nanik. Then it came to chieftaincy dispute in Nkwanta, in Oti, then Nanik in Northeast. Then it came to another chieftaincy dispute in Boku. Then it came to another land border in Domiabra. Then it came to renewed clashes of what happened in Oti region in June. Then it came to another land dispute that displaced 48,000 people in Burkina Faso.
That's the Binyiri one.
Yes. Then it came to the Pipile one, which was also a chieftaincy dispute, where the son of a chief died. Then it came to a Solutuum issue, which was also chieftaincy. Then it came to Sampa, which was also chieftaincy. And so you can clearly see. But we need to be able to solve these issues.
Very well. Very well, very well. I'll take a few quick messages, take a break, and then when we come back, we'll move on to other matters. I plead with the minority in Parliament to partake in the vetting, at least for our law students to have an opportunity to learn. Big Boots from Tema sent that one in. This one says, good morning, I am Eben in Kwabenya. Let me applaud Speaker Bagbane for doing the needful and telling the micro-minority, no matter their brouhaha, the acting CJ will be vetted. We appreciate you, Mr. Speaker. Regards to the Honorable MC Agbo of Gan East, Deputy CEO Honorable Peter Akwesi Mensah, and TDC boss Courage Makafui Nunekbeku. You can also send in your messages. We'll be grateful to receive them, and of course we'll do our best to share them with the rest of our viewing public. This is Breakfast Daily here on Channel One Television. Stay with us, we'll be right back. You're welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily here on Channel One Television. We're having the news review segment. Wanda Madilo is here. Dr. Palgrave Boache Dankwa is also here. You can also join us with your thoughts, your comments, and contributions. There's a message here. I'll read it quickly, and then we'll move to the matter of the helicopter crash and the report. Nana, good morning. NDC has shown that they don't care about government workers. It is insulting to raise salary by just 9%, from 10% to 9% in 2027 to 8%. Hey, this man is ahead of us with 2027 and 2028. I mean 2017 and 2018? I'm not sure. Meanwhile, this week on this new prepaid meters will cost you more than 90 cedis with just fan and television. He says MPP will steal money but will give good increment in salary. NDC will not really steal but hate to increase salary. Agama from Teshi sent that word in. Good morning, Anna. It was a fact that there was general insecurity in the country. The attack on NIMOS and other stakeholders confirmed that. Let us be serious as a nation. Ahmed from Nima. Swala in Adenta says, it is sad when this government is touting of a downward trend of inflation. Is this an achievement? Go to the market and see what is happening. Prices of items continue to soar on a daily basis. All right, gentlemen. The unfortunate helicopter crash, August 6. Today is November 10. We've been asking for the report to be made public. Today we understand it will be presented to the National Security Council, and hopefully on Tuesday, that's tomorrow, the report will be made public. Palgrave, back to you. You are a security person. What kind of report should we expect? And I'm asking because we know that if there are, most often than not, if a body investigates itself and the report is incriminating, you are most likely to receive a redacted report.
So, Nana, I want two types of reports. The first is that I want a report that is extremely honest, transparent, and a true reflection of what happened to the family. The family must know what happened, and to the leaders of the country.
Right.
They must know what happened. The true reflection of that. Then I want a second report that talks about resolutions and how to prevent a clash of this nature to the general public. Because this borders on security, it is important we are mindful of how much we disclose to the general public. And also because of the sub-region we find ourselves, which is West Africa, and the threats around the sub-region. So we need to be mindful, because disclosing everything publicly also becomes a threat to us. And so these are the two types of reports that I want. That nothing is shredded in secrecy for the family. They must be able to know and bring closure to it. Because the government started with a DNA test to be able to identify, so they can name the bodies to the persons. So it was a very sad morning.
Indeed.
When news started splashing across and weren't too sure whether it was true or not. Even till date, I still don't believe that Omane is dead. I still don't believe Murtala is dead. It's still fresh in my memory because they were such young blood. And I can imagine how their families are still feeling. And I'm not too sure this can bring closure to them, but the government should continue their promise and commitment to them. And I'm certain that successive governments will do that as well. So these are the two types of reports that I want. I also want the government to give us some resolutions on some protocols that must happen. Nana, nowhere in this world should we ever have a Minister for Defense, a Deputy National Security Coordinator, 2 security couples on 1 helicopter. Nowhere in this world should that happen. Shouldn't happen. Shouldn't happen. So we must relook at our protocols very well as a country. And I'm very certain that we should be able to bring closure to this. And my deepest condolences again to the family, to the entire Ghanaian people, to the NDC government. And I hope that we'll be able to put an end to this very difficult challenge that we have had.
Wonder that those who argue that if you look at the nature of that and how painful it was, perhaps the family can be called and given certain aspects of the report, and then the state will take the report and implement the reforms or recommendations of the report, and does not necessarily have to make it public, so that if like you don't remind people of the pain of the death.
Difficult moment. The report is ready today. Tomorrow there will be a press briefing, on the content of the report. Please don't be mistaken. The report is not a report that was written in isolation with the family. The family was consulted at a certain point because you are trying to find out, when did they leave home? When did you hear the news? Because you need to collaborate the exact time. So in writing this report, it did not isolate critical family members who should be consulted on the matter. And so they are partially aware of the process. The content of the report is what we are more, it's a state security report, because the security report is confidential and only certain portions will be made known to who needs to know. We call it need to know basis. So if the part that does not concern you is not going to be made known to you, and you just have to understand that. But critically is the view which I share with him is that we need 2 types of reports. Of course, that is normally done. There's one that will tease out the issues, technical issues, vis-a-vis lapses, if there were. And then the one that will tease out a situational report, that we all will be privy to. The technical issues certainly would be issues that even the aircraft manufacturer would have to play a role. We are told that the black box was also found. They have to play a role in that. We are told that the weather may play a role. We never know. That can be part. The competence or otherwise the capacity of the crew will have to also be checked. That we don't know, and that can only be available to the technical team and all that. And then the safety of the aircraft, the age, safety, and all the miles it has done covered within this period. It's a difficult moment. I don't like talking about this issue because Dr. Mahama is a personal friend. We relate very well. We don't talk on phone that much, but we do everything on text. Hey, bro, how, and then we get along. And don't forget, I was also former president of the National Union of Ghana Students, and I ended the decade for them, the 10-year decade in 2009. So I am pretty much attached from the days of student leadership all the way to politics. And so it's hurting, it's worrying, and I don't want to talk much about this. But we pray that this report will bring finality to the many views, propaganda, many conjunctions, conjecture, many assumptions, and many of the things that we have said from spiritual, the conspiracies, the spiritual dynamics, the permutations, the pastors who came into it, the juju men who claimed they were, we can bring an end to this whole discourse and then look forward to the future. ever since this has happened, I haven't been on board any aircraft. I don't think I'm afraid. It's not because I'm afraid or anything of the sort. But the mere sight of a flight, especially I use that Burma camp, bypass almost every day.
Yeah.
And so when I'm passing and I look through Burma camp and I see the helicopters parked there, it gives me a different feeling altogether. And I don't know. I've traveled on it a couple of times during the 2012 campaign. And 2008 campaigns and all that. And sometimes when you are traveling to the north, you will hear, oh yeah, the military helicopter is going. You get some permit and you're able to go. I have serious now, but I think that we can get around this matter. It's a national disaster. Eventually, time would heal wounds, and we pray that the family will be compensated. I know that some insurance packages have been put in place for them, and some setups in terms of finance and all that. I pray that this would assuage the pain of the family and we can move on.
I'll come to you on how Ghanaians should prepare themselves to receive this report. But, Doc, how should the media treat this report? Because sometimes in the line of work, you might end up, bruising, hurting more people than you intended to do. So how should we, the media, treat this report when indeed it is released?
Well, I think that your training should accord you. You are trained to be sensitive and to be empathetic. For CTFM Channel One, I trust your integrity. And I recall how you took your time in even breaking the news because you were waiting for government officials standing on it. So I trust you and others of your caliber. But it is important that people remember that beyond this report are lives, our mothers, our spouses, our children, and the community.
Right.
And so be very sensitive and tone down on a lot more negativity. The President, John Dramani Mahama, asked for a national period of mourning. And so we should all come together as a nation to collectively bring healing, because that's what we need at this stage. So that would be my admonition to the media. Discuss it and put an end to it in a calm way, and leave the politics out of it.
Very well, very well. Wonder, Ghanaians as a community and how we should prepare ourselves to receive.
It's still going to be a painful reminder of something that happened a few months ago. Very painful reminder. The media, I'm sure, is the reason why tomorrow there will be a briefing, so that we can harmonize our discourse around the issue and all that. And then the family also, some psychologists have been doing some good job on the family, especially those with the shock and all that. So, and the children. This social media is so rampant that the kids get to find everything and anything anywhere. I was just telling my brother that has he been told that the daughter and my daughter are in the same school, in the same class, not just the same school. And this was because my own kids told me that, the last time the man you were on set, do you know that is my friend's dad? And I really, So you see how far social media and the media goes. So it's important that the media is circumspect. It's already a painful experience. We don't want to go through that any longer. The trauma and all that, we can leave that a little in the past and move on. Time will heal. That we know. Time will heal. I think that the media should be offering a lot of comfort now than who did what, who caused what. This person must be held liable and responsible and all that. In this case, who are we holding responsible? Lives have been lost. There can never be any better conversation when a life is lost.
True.
Never.
True.
And so I think the media will be circumspect. That's why we would have a more controlled discussion by having the press briefing, giving the highlights of the report, and then we can make progress.
Right, talk about the media. Over the weekend, the 29th GJA Media Awards was held. City 97.3 was adjudged best English radio station. Yeah.
In ChannelOne.
Yeah, we're coming. We're coming. Our Western Bureau chief picked up the Science and Environmental Award. That's
okay, beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful. But then overall was Godwin Asediba of Media General TV3. Congratulations to him. But the Otumfuo spoke and said unregulated new media is threatening the future of journalism. Unregulated new media. I have a problem, perhaps because of my training, with how some of these people do it. Wonder if you're a known person and a blogger sees you and wants to take a video, granted it is fine. But to the extent that you are whispering something into Palgrave's ears and there's a camera which has a microphone that will pick up your sound, close there picking all that, I feel that is so much of a threat.
Yeah, I think that even we can even expand Otumfuo's commentary to AI.
True. True.
You know, these days you see some videos, they look so real,
Indeed.
so real. They would have to go to comment section to find out.
They have used some of our people, the likes of Bernard Davlet, to sell some crypto or something somewhere.
And it's so real. It's not funny.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm in support of the new bill in Parliament to put a certain, call it regulation in place in order that we don't throw this country aground. Some months ago, I think on this network, we were discussing how the media in Rwanda, the radio Rwanda caused a mess of Rwanda. And somebody was disagreeing and all that. I remember I was there who was disagreeing and all that.
Yeah.
But indeed, the media, the plurality of the media plays a role in development. That we cannot discount. It's still the case that the media should play a critical role in our development process. Number two, it's also the case that freedom of speech is guaranteed by the Constitution. And that is clear, that the Constitution guarantees freedom of speech. There are several bills, including the removal of the criminal libel law, the other one, there's a new one, that right to free speech and all that have given voice to media plurality, divergent opinion and all that. But again, we are back to a stage where it is being abused. It is the abuse that should be curtailed. The abuse that must be controlled. It's the abuse that people must pay for the abuses. Because if it was a physical abuse, you would have paid the price. What about if it's a media abuse, cyberbullying and all that that we are seeing today? So indeed, that must be put in place. We already have a law that says that you cannot record me without my express permission. I need to give you consent to do it. So that already is there, and it's not going to change. I'm sure that we may even toughen that a little so that people are not intruding people's privacy. If not, the next thing we see is that you see the President of the Republic, private issues all over there, and that these are security matters, and we need to be guided for that. I remember many years ago when the US and the CIA tried to show Gaddafi or one of them their privacy. They paid the price eventually. They paid an ultimate price because, I mean, that was invasion of privacy. And I think that we have to, as a country, get to that point where we are not seen to be gagging the media, but we are seen to be regulating what is put out there and all that. The last point that I want to make on this media thing is that training. I've seen some mushroom schools in this country that claim to be training journalists. You go there, and even the environment where they are is not conducive for a telling creative industry, as it were. And yet, nobody seems to be saying anything. I remember many years ago when you have the likes of GIJ, you used to have Trans-African College, then you had another one. There's one more that was also, but all of them collapsed. JE also came on the scene and all that. JE is doing well. I think government must deliberately have a way to support the whole media industry. Let it not be seen as bribing anybody when government decides to do that. But we need to develop capacities. The US government has been doing very well with the media thing. I remember the likes of Manasseh and Co. traveled on what they call the J1 visa and all that. I have also been a participant on that program in the US a couple of times. And I think the government must deliberately do that. Some of our media men should be given some scholarships to go study abroad. Some of them should see the perspective of reporting, ethical reporting, ethical report writing, ethical presentation, and all that. We need that. GBC has failed us. If GBC, I thought that if GBC was on its feet, they had a school. They used to have a training school at the time.
I think they still do.
Well, I don't know how well it's doing, but I think that the GBC would have been a good fulcrum around which this thing should be tailored. Because you go to GBC, you go to their TV station, you still see a certain level of calmness, no sensationalism, they're not in a hurry to report anything sensational, even though sensationalism sells on our airwaves, but they have a way they do it that you need to bring the fact. If you don't have the fact, you can't really.
As a state broadcaster, you can't get it wrong. You can't afford to get it wrong.
Exactly. So we need to start benchmarking ourselves around the likes of CNN, the likes of BBC, Al Jazeera, and all that. Then we can make progress. And that's why I'm calling on GBC. They should up their game. I've heard the minister say that there's a program in place to turn around the fortunes of the state broadcaster. I will be happy to see a lot of this happening.
Right. Talk. Advent of new media.
New media is the new world.
Yeah, indeed.
And we really need to put some regulations in place to guide this adverse innovative industry, because it's so much in the new world such that you don't need a license to participate in the domain of new media. Once you have a good phone, once you have a good laptop, once you have a good iPad, once you have a drone, you are in. And that's the space. The spectrum within which we must ensure that new media is regulated must be greatly an interest to Parliament. Parliament must make sure, and I recall that in our government, I can't remember whether the bill was passed, because we were working on a bill that had gone through a lot of stakeholder engagement to be passed, the broadcasting bill, when we had a part that focused on new media. And with the growth of the millennial and the innovation that is coming and the monetization of the accounts, and obviously, I mean, Wanda mentioned AI. AI is broadening too much to the extent that there is a new system that is coming up that AI can predict your thoughts before you action it. And AI, beyond predicting your thoughts, can also predict your next moves before you action it. And so new media must be a framework that Parliament must ensure that they protect it, protect the lives and livelihood of the young ones that are coming, because what we hold in our hand, which is this handset, is a clear view of our new world. Because you get your news on it, you get your Bible on it, you can watch your movies on it, you can do anything on it. And so, and we also need to continually remind people about the discipline that we need. Because if we discipline ourselves well, sometimes you can put your phone away so that you can have certain level of sanity. Sometimes you can turn off your television because you will need some level of sanity and some level of sacredness, which the new media does not allow, because they are in your face. Everywhere you go, they are watching you. And so I think that we need to take seriously what the Otunfo or Say Tutu put in place to make sure that we don't fall at the wrong side of the innovative and development of new media.
Well, thank you so much. Gentlemen, this has been good. Wanda Madilo is with the NDC's National Communications team. Dr. Palgrave Boache Dankwa is with the NPP's Communications team. Yes.
I want to be rich like you.
Amen. Amen. Inshallah. Inshallah. Gentlemen, thank you so much. This has been the news review segment on Breakfast Daily. I am Nana Tufo Boate. Many thanks for your time. But don't go away. The show continues with Philip and Chris.